Mine to boost its special defense, but Clefairy's Friend Guard helping it as well. Let's get into game 1 of round 11. Ryan Haig and Aditya Subramanian. They're both 9-1. The winner of this set is going to get their 10th victory of the weekend.
Right away, we got the Raging Bolt, Raging Goat, you might say, sent across the field from each other as Adi going for that Incineroar to kick things off. Of course, with the clear amulet over on the opposing end, it is going to be a Calyrex Ice Rider that is not going to be taking that. Now, Photosynthesis, that's the special attack for Ryan's Raging Bolt, so something a little bit more on the offensive to be boosting things up. Of course, the Calyrex over on the opposing end, it is something that can be stopped in its tracks with something like a Fake Out on this turn. So you do have to be careful over on Ryan's end. You don't want to be taking unnecessary damage to be kicking things off, especially if you're... This Calyrex can be a huge point in this match. And
it's so difficult in this position with 2 Raging Bolts on the field because you can only terrestrialize one Pokemon, right? If you want to get out of this kind of mirrored situation where you can hit each other super effectively, then that means maybe your Calyrex Shadow Rider in the back is not able to terrestrialize later on.
And looking at this and eyeing up a Draco Meteor from the one over on Adi's end, there wouldn't be too many good switch-ins here. So Protect to be keeping the Raging Bolt safe. Just the double Protect. Good past the Fake Out. Definitely super, super nice. Fake that turn, get that out of the way, and also be eyeing up what Adi had in mind. The Draco Meteor not going to be able to do anything this time around.
Yeah, good information gained from Ryan on this turn to see what Adi was prioritizing. He was going for that mirror hit, going for the Draco Meteor into the opposing Raging Bolt. So now that Ryan is aware that, you know, Adi kind of is valuing the Raging Bolt as a higher threat in the moment, how should he adjust?
And now that Protect has been burned on both of these slots as well, I mean, even with Ryan having that information that the Draco Meteor was clicked over on Adi's end, still nothing is really too safe from that. You can be pressuring back with a hit from your own Raging Bolt, since you do have access to the Draco Meteor as well. But if we do see something like the Terrestrialization coming out from Adi's end, he does have the Assault Vest as well, so we'd be able to take the hit a little bit better than the Booster Energy version over on Ryan's end of the board. Terrestrialization is going to be kicking it off in this turn number 2, and that is going to be the Calyrex Ice Rider going into that Fire type, making sure that it's not going to be taking too much damage.
Yeah, now if Adi targets a Flare Blitz into that slot, it will be resisted damage instead of super effective. But Draco hits onto Ryan's Raging Bolt, and he does not have enough special defense to take that with the critical hit. You will gladly trade 2 stages of special attack for the 1-hit KO.
Adi has the Raging Goat, Ryan the Raging Woat. They're going to be KO'd. Knockoff going to be hitting into the Calyrex. The Terra Fire would have been great to be making sure something like a Will-O-Wisp doesn't go off, but the knockoff to get rid of that clear amulet. Now you can't be limiting the stats, but look at that huge hit onto the Raging Bolt over on the opposing end.
Yeah, both Raging Bolts getting knocked out from full HP here on this turn, and that's a big trade for Ryan because he hardly takes any damage and gets the attack boost.
At this point, you do get the attack boost, but losing that clear amulet, there is the potential of a Arcane Shot into that slot or any pivots coming back out. And the Raging Bolt going down over on Ryan's end of the board gives way for this Pelipper to be hitting the field here. This is a Pokemon that has access to that wide guard, making sure that something like this Calyrex Shadow Rider on Adi's end of the board, you have to start playing these games because Astral Barrage would be able to deal a good amount of damage into both these Pokemon. But if that Pelipper goes ahead and clicks that wide guard, well, all of a sudden, that horse gets to do absolutely nothing. Draining Kiss is your other move of choice here, and that's going to be significantly less damage coming on out, and that's not really a position that you want for your restricted. But if you're also clicking a move that doesn't do much, and this Pelipper wants to go for, well, literally anything else, into Weather Ball or a Hurricane, definitely does its fair share as well into that match. It's also where you can start falling behind.
Yeah, I think it's a really tough turn for Adi to decide because you know you can't really set up. You don't have the time available to click Calm Mind multiple times and boost the damage, and you can't safely click Astral Barrage as you mentioned because Pelipper at any time couldn't click Wide Guard and negate all of your damage. But the friendly Clefairy will be on the field for Adi now, revealing his 4th Pokemon in this matchup. Thanks to the Friend Guard, he's going to take a little bit less damage on the Calyrex.
And that's definitely a nice way to be negating some of the damage coming on out. Your Incineroar is in the back, so you can pivot it in for an Intimidate. Bring that back down to neutral, and the Friend Guard will help you out on this turn. Draining Kiss will be the move of choice, and with the Terrestrialization will be boosted. The first hit into the Pelipper.
And that looks like that will certainly be a 2-hit KO, so the Pelipper is in a tough spot. If you want to click Wide Guard the following turn, you would get knocked out from a Draining Kiss. Weather Ball brings Clefairy down under half HP, and now the +1 from Calyrex Ice Rider is enough to take out Clefairy, get another Chilling Neigh boost.
No spread damage move coming on out, but still going to be able to reap the benefits of it as Pelipper goes for the attack instead and the double up into the Clefairy. I mean, you're a friend to your partner Pokemon, but you're definitely not a friend to the Pokemon on the other end, and they dealt with that handedly. Now, you do get an Intimidate down on the Calyrex, but since it did get that Glacial Lance KO, it is still at a +1. You have Fake Out over on this turn. Pelipper doesn't have Protect, so you can be targeting into that Pokemon if you are expecting that Calyrex to be protecting. And Pelipper, I think, should be something that you get rid of ASAP if you want to be going for something that's a little bit more damage boosting down this. A setup on this turn, sure, you're not really eyeing up getting a special defense boost that would help against the Calyrex, but it can help your damage output since you are going to be naturally speedier than the rest of the Pokemon on Ryan's end to set you up with success for the rest of the game.
Right, and the more damage that you output on this move like Draining Kiss, the more health you would be able to recover. But Pelipper clicking Wide Guard, so Ryan anticipating an Astral Barrage on this turn. Fake Out goes towards the Calyrex slot, not doing any damage for Calyrex for Ryan this turn. Now Calm Mind boosting the Shadow Rider special attack and special defense by 1 stage. There's the flinch from the Fake Out, and now you're +1 on special attack and special defense. You're still super fast, so you can get that KO on Pelipper before it can attack.
The thing is your Shadow Rider has already taken so much damage, and if you're attacking into the Pelipper with it on this turn, you are still at risk of getting KO'd by the Calyrex over onto the opposing end. Since Draining Kiss into that Fire-type Terrestrialized Calyrex, even with a +1, isn't going to be the significant damage that you would need, and knowing that there is the threat of the Wide Guard on the other end, I feel like that just loses you the game on the spot as well. If you do protect and take care of the Pelipper, that is a dangerous position where, hey, this Pelipper can fire off a Weather Ball and take care of the Incineroar. So it's a really difficult line where you have to go down, and we're going right down to the wire with making this decision.
Pelipper decides Wide Guard is the choice. Second turn in a row, stopping a potential Astral Barrage, but Adi is not going to fall for it. Instead, we'll click the Terra Fairy boosted Draining Kiss, knocking out Pelipper here on this turn. You won't recover too much HP since Pelipper was already down to about 40%, so it's not a lot of HP remaining to recover. So we'll see if this Glacial Lance is going to be enough. You get another special attack increase on your end. Parting Shot from Incineroar, lowering the attack, because remember earlier on, Knockoff got rid of the Clear Amulet, so that's huge to try to lower it. But Calyrex clicks Trick Room, twisting the dimensions instead.
With that Parting Shot, you're now just at a neutral, but being able to make sure that your final Pokemon, the Amoonguss coming out from the back, can wreak havoc in this Trick Room as well. This now +2 special attack Calyrex Shadow Rider won't be able to offput all of that pressure, because it is something with the Pelipper being gone. If it was the fastest thing, these Astral Barrages surely can just run through the rest of this game. Now, you did get to recover a little bit of health because of that Draining Kiss, but even at neutral, the Calyrex is going to be doing a decent amount of damage, and Amoonguss does have the ability to kind of redirect. You are looking at an Incineroar on the other end with the safety goggles, so you can eye up maybe trying to protect and Parting Shot into the Calyrex again, but that is still a lot of damage that you can be taking, especially since it can just decide to fire off a high horsepower into Incineroar and start trying to deal damage in that way.
Yeah, I was going to say, there are some Calyrex Ice Riders that don't have high horsepower as their second attack, so it'd be a worse spot for Ryan if he didn't have that attack available to hit Incineroar super effectively, but you have to feel super strong on Ryan's end. You have Amoonguss at full HP, 4 more turns of Trick Room for your 2 slow Pokemon. There's the high horsepower, super effective into Incineroar, and it gets knocked out before you get any more Parting Shots. That's another Chilling Neigh boost for this Calyrex.
Yeah, it's safe to say why this Calyrex Ice Rider has been the one of choice, as Adi is going to be throwing into the towel for the game 1 and has to figure out where in this game 2 he can go. Honestly, great end game coming out from Ryan there.
Yeah, and Ryan just having, I think the turn that really changed it for Ryan's favor when both Raging Bolts were knocked out and Ryan he predicted that Shadow Rider would be coming in on the free switch, so he brought Pelipper immediately. That meant he didn't have to switch it in on the turn and take any damage. He could immediately start the mind games of, will I click Wide Guard? Will I click the Weather Ball and do a lot of damage to your Incineroar? I think Ryan, the second half of this game 1, just had all the momentum on his side.
Even regardless of a call or not, it's something that pairs up into the Pokemon over on Adi's end really well once you are done with that Raging Bolt. If the Rillaboom was brought, this is a Choice Band one. It's not the Assault Vest. It's not going to appreciate a Hurricane. Oh, you're staring down this Incineroar? Well, it's not going to appreciate a Weather Ball either. It swapped out of that into the Clefairy, and the Clefairy didn't take the hit well either. So really showing why this Pelipper was a Pokemon that was really something that players did kind of build towards, especially paired up with this Ice Rider. I think as well, the late game Trick Room coming out from Ryan, what a wonderful choice. When you have these Trick Rooms coming on out on these teams, sometimes setting up for it right away, or if you have a little bit more of a one-dimensional team, it's something you can be trapped towards. But having the survivability at the end, setting it up so that Adi was kind of just run out of options was really well played.
Now, Adi is no stranger to restricted format, Sierra. He did top cut Vancouver Regional Championships back in Sword and Shield when we had that double restricted format. And one of the huge techs that got him along that road was Hypnosis Gothitelle. So something similar to that on his team, a Pokemon that's pretty slow, has the chance to put things to sleep. Yeah, I'm talking about that Sing Clefairy. That's a Trick Room counter.
This Clefairy, I think having Sing on it is really, really nice because 55% of the time you can just get bailed from a situation. And if you're in a situation where your opponent's already hitting a spread damage move, you might as well click it because it's not like really a follow me is going to help you out there. If your game plan is leaning on hitting this 55% accurate move, though, I don't know if I can get on board.
Hey, he's probably clicked it once or twice this weekend through 10 rounds of Swiss. We'll see if he can click it one more. There is the Clefairy to lead this time around right next to Calyrex Shadow Rider for Adi compared to Raging Bolt and Calyrex Ice Rider on Ryan's side.
Something that I definitely like it kind of leading as opposed to the swap in. The swap in, I got KO'd by the Weather Ball, the Glacial Lance, and that just started activating the Snowball coming out from the Calyrex Ice Rider on the other end. Photosynthesis coming on through again, the special attack. There is a way that you can be pressuring a little bit with that Raging Bolt since you do have access to priority, but if there is the Follow Me over on the opposing end, then the Pokemon, they can be taking a lot of very unnecessary damage. As well, if you're staring down these Pokemon and you don't feel too threatened on this turn, you can just try and go set up, but no way.
He hasn't clicked it in, so we're not going to get too excited yet, but it might be pretty... He locked it in. Okay. Ryan has no idea what's about to come in his direction. So
if he hits this?
Yeah, so as Sierra mentioned, Sing is a 55% accurate move, but it puts your Pokemon to sleep. It's like Spore, but way worse. And Ryan will terrestrialize his Calyrex yet again into that fire typing, getting rid of that ghost weakness that would come from an Astral Barrage hit. Adi on his end will click Calm Mind, so this is really nice for him since Raging Bolt does so much damage, boosts his special defense up one stage. Clefairy gets paralyzed though, so you have to break through paralysis and hit a 55% accurate move. You might not even get the chance because Glacial Lance is so strong. Clefairy gets knocked out here on turn one. He doesn't even get to sing his swan song.
Again, with the Sing, as cool as it would have been able to see that fire off, and as unfortunate as it is to be taken down by that chilling Neigh, you got that Calm Mind boost over onto your Calyrex Shadow Rider, and there was no point in clicking that Follow Me because we saw the Raging Bolt naturally targeted into it anyways, and if you could redirect both of the Glacial Lances your way, that would be a little too broken. Now you have an option of bringing in a Pokemon that can pressure a lot more. In the Urshifu Rapid Strike, now they've gotten the terrestrialization out of the Calyrex, there is no redirection over on the opposing end, and that can be dangerous. Even if they're already up a Thunderclap on the opposing end, it is Focus Sash over onto this Urshifu, so you would be able to at least survive that hit on that 1 HP, and the amount of damage that you could be dealing back out with the Surging Strikes as well as the Astral Barrage is huge, so no wonder that Calyrex is getting out of there.
Yeah, it does not want to take any damage from Urshifu. These are two really powerful Pokemon on the field right now for Adi. So Amoonguss is a nice switch in because of that Rocky Helmet. So if Urshifu targets that slot, if Amoonguss was even around on the field, it's going to get O-Code from the Calm Mind boosted Calyrex Shadow Rider, and that's another Grim Neigh boost. So it's going to be +2 special attack. Surging Strikes, you're critting every time. Sure, it's resisted, but Raging Bolt's at such low HP that Ryan has lost his Pokemon here. And oh, that's such a rough turn for Ryan. That's a massive amount of damage from Calyrex.
That turn just completely turns the tides of the battle. The Amoonguss coming on in to try and keep that Calyrex safe, and now Pelipper coming back out. I mean, sure, you can shut down the Astral Barrage with the Wide Guard, but you've now set the Rain and the Urshifu on the opposing end. is so much damage. You're just going to be boosting that. We're going to just do a heap load of damage into the Calyrex, and you can't take care of this Urshifu in one hit because of that Focus Sash.
Yeah, and the other thing with Pelipper, it has to choose one move, right? You either have to wide guard or go for a supportive move, try to help Glacial Lance out. It's in a really tough spot.
And at this point, we are just going to be straight flexing in this game too. Terrestrialization coming out, the Stellar Urshifu.
Usually you see the single strike Urshifu using Stellar Terra and the rapid strike using Terra Poison, Terra Steel, something defensive. No, all out damage from Stellar Terra. Is it even going to get the chance to attack? Yes, obviously Pelipper hangs on. Calyrex no longer weak to the Astral Barrage, so he doesn't get KO'd either.
Making sure that you're doing the most amount of damage since you are the Sash. Instead of the Mystic Water, you got the Rain, you got the Stellar Terra. Calyrex on so low health, taken down immediately. The only thing now left in Ryan's corner is that Pelipper. 1 HP and a dream that I think is about to come really crashing to an end.
Yeah, definitely might be a nightmare compared to 1 HP and a dream, but he does bring the Urshifu down to its Focus Sash, so that's nice. A little bit of damage, but obviously Adi has even without Clefairy singing, right, getting that opportunity, the battle's going to be canceled, and we're going to move on to Game 3 here in round 11. What a set so far.
I mean, you lose your Clefairy on turn 1, but I mean, when you're looking at this Clefairy isn't meant to be dealing the damage and being the star of the show. It's the supporting cast to help the star that is this Astral Barrage, this Calyrex Shadow Rider. And sure, you lose a Pokemon for it, but that Calm Mind and being able to just have this positioning was absolutely wonderful, and already pressuring so much onto the opposing end because of that early game terrestrialization coming out from Ryan. The Urshifu was a great adjustment coming out from Adi. As soon as that terrestrialization button was clicked, well, all of a sudden, this Calyrex was not looking to be in a great position. And the damage that you were doing to the Calyrex Shadow Rider with that Fenguard was just not significant enough onto that first turn. And even if the Clefairy didn't get to sing its song, I think getting KO'd on the first turn was the best thing that could have happened to it.
Yeah, and Adi made the adjustment here in Game 2 to not bring Raging Bolt since it was so volatile. You might miss Draco Meteor, or maybe theirs is going to knock yours out for you. But Ryan decided to keep Raging Bolt in, gets the paralysis, but gets KO'd as well on this turn. So I think it's a tough call for Ryan if you want to stick with your Raging Bolt, because it can kind of be in a difficult spot, especially if Shadow Rider gets Calm Mind boost, then you're doing even less damage.
And the constant pressure over onto the Ice Rider, there was no opportunity whatsoever for any sort of trick room, something that twisting the dimensions that this Shadow Rider could not survive in. Not even an option here in this Game 2. And now Ryan really has to think about this Game 3 and where exactly that he wants to be going on this, because when you're taking a KO on the first turn, but your opponent's able to snowball from that position on, you need to make some sort of adjustment. Even if it's if the Clefairy clicked Sing, but even just that lead coming out from Adi, if it clicks the Follow Me, you're still not pressuring enough with this Raging Bolt or with the Glacial Lance, so.
Let's get into Game 3 here between Adi and Ryan. Raging Bolt, Calyrex, Ice Rider for Ryan's lead, and Calyrex Shadow Rider, Incineroar for Adi.
At this point, not going to be a Clefairy to be kicking things off. Instead, this Incineroar, even though it doesn't have the ability to help its partner quite as well, it can in a different sort of way, which is now having to fake out pressure over onto the opposing end of the field here. Stop one of these Pokemon in its tracks. Again, Intimidate not going to be able to affect the Ice Rider on the opposing end thanks to that Clear Amulet. And with the ability to lock down one of these Pokemon, it can just be another Calm Mind over on Adi's end. You aren't going to have that same amounts of sponging up damage thanks to the Clefairy not being there, but at least making sure that one of these Pokemon can't attack could be great.
Yeah, and we saw in Game 1 that Incineroar does have the knockoff to get rid of the Clear Amulet eventually, maybe try to preserve Incineroar later on in the match, use those Intimidates, use those parting shots, if you can get rid of that crucial held item on Ryan's end. But all 3 games, Ryan has understood the assignment. I'm here, I'm 9-1 because of my Calyrex Ice Rider. Gonna terrestrialize it into a Fire type, Calm Mind boosting a Shadow Rider special attack and special defense on this turn. So if Raging Bolt goes into that slot, it's gonna do less damage. But no, it's towards the Incineroar. Pretty much exactly half HP. No paralysis this time, so Incineroar gets to swap out.
Parting shot into the Raging Bolt, so it does less going on as a Calm Mind set up from the Calyrex Shadow Rider, and a chance now to pivot out into something else. If you do have that the Clefairy in the back, you could bring it out to sponge up damage from a Glacial Lance. Since Ryan didn't go and protect on that turn, Urshifu would also take the hit pretty well, but you wouldn't want to be breaking that sash for free, especially when you're staring down a Raging Bolt. So Clefairy, the great friend, to make a reappearance. Glacial Lance coming on out. Now you'll be able to soak up this hit a little bit better than before, and Clefairy hangs on through the turn.
Yeah, the other times Clefairy got double targeted every turn, so now this time when you only get hit by one attack, your Clefairy's looking a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, this is super nice. And now that you have this Calm Mind boost and you're not really staring down a threat over on the opposing end, this is where you can again play a mind game with the, hey, am I going to be following mean? Or even just something like this Helping Hand. If you're a +1 Calyrex Shadow Rider, you already do so much damage. A Helping Hand here, this is something that can start to obliterate the opposing end of the board, and here we go.
Calm Mind boost, Helping Hand boosted Calyrex Shadow Rider on this turn. A massive amount of damage that it can output if Ryan allows it. No protect from the Ice Rider, so Raging Bolt's not going to take any damage, but here is the Astral Barrage into Calyrex on the other side. The opposing horse, not enough for a one-hit KO, brings it down into the red. Now the Glacial Lance in response. Clefairy's at half HP. Friend Guard is so strong, keeps both of them around.
The Raging Bolt would have been taking so much damage to protect through the turn to make sure that it can actually survive through the turn. And the Calyrex, since that was a spread damage move, of course, isn't going to be KO'd on this turn, but you're still in a really tricky situation. And normally when you have a priority move on something like the Raging Bolt, the threat of a Thunderclap is absolutely immense. But if there is a follow me over on the opposing end, you would be redirected, and since you wouldn't then be attacking into an attacking Pokemon, all of a sudden the move is going to be for naught. So the speed over on this Pokemon is going to be great. So seeing the Protect coming out from the other end, not too much of a surprise.
Yeah, Calyrex does not want to get knocked out. Ryan understands it's so important for him and his win condition here in Game 3. Clefairy does become the center of attention with that Follow Me, which would redirect an attack away from Calyrex, and Raging Bolt, even if it had a chance to attack, wouldn't be able to hit Calyrex. Instead, Raging Bolt will be down to around 25-30% of its HP remaining. Here is the Thunderbolt. Of course, Clefairy's so low on HP, more than enough for the KO, but this does allow Adi to bring either his Incineroar in on this turn or that Focus Sash Stellar Tower or Shifu.
And if you bring out the Incineroar here, you do have that Fake Out then pressure over on the opposing end. So again, a way to be stopping the Thunderclap that could be targeting into your Calyrex Shadow Rider on this turn. And if you get the chance to just hit an Astral Barrage, especially knowing that this Calyrex Shadow, the Ice Rider, too many horses out here.
Yeah, too many.
The other one, the slower one, the Ice one, has just protected. That could be a really good hit into it with the Astral Barrage. And even if you want to be bringing out the Urshifu, this is something that still pressures a lot over onto the opposing end, but it does mean that you are opening up the possibility for the priority move over on the opposing end of the field.
Yeah, definitely a tough spot because you can understand it with the security Focus Sash gives Urshifu. Thunderclap is not going to be able to one-hit KO you, but it still is super effective. So opting for the safer play with Intimidate and a Fake Out option.
Where it is a safer play is that you do get to stop one Pokemon on this turn. Where it's maybe not so much is the Raging Bolt here, since it isn't the Assault Vest, can just protect through this turn. All of a sudden you have burnt your Fake Out, and you can just go for the Thunderclap on the next turn, and that is still just going to be pretty safe across the board here since the Calyrex is so low on its health. The eyeing up for the Draining Kiss, if that's not going to be really too much damage that you're going to be doing because the Calyrex is already so low, which means it's also the most that you are healing up. But considering you do have that special defense boost, any way to try and be mounting and bringing up that special defense. So it is going to be difficult considering the booster energy on the opposing end. That's going to be kicking off the turn.
Yeah, this is a crucial turn for Ryan if he wants to come back in this match. Fake Out goes into the Protect, so Incineroar does not stop any attacks on this turn. But now Shadow Rider into Calyrex because he's a fire type. He resists the Draining Kiss and just barely hangs on with just enough HP to get a Glacial Lance in response, KOing Shadow Rider and bringing Incineroar down really low.
You needed that KO to be kicking things off in such a low base power move. Well, that is the Chilling Knee. That is your restricted gone, and that is now limited to 2 final Pokemon over on Adi's end. Hasn't made his way through the lead coming out from Ryan. If there was something like that Terra into the Fairy type, you could have picked it up, but you'd still just then be using your Terra just for that sliver of health. But even looking at it, it could have been an option to maybe try and be stopping that. This Urshifu does still have the Focus Sash, You can still pressure some damage, but considering we've known that the Amoonguss was a Pokemon over on Ryan's end, that could even be a swap in here. The Thunderclap still steals so much. It's still just a tough blow coming out.
Yeah, what a crucial survival from Ryan's Calyrex Ice Rider on that turn. The Terrifier hasn't really been too relevant for most of the set. He's used it all 3 games. It really is to stop Will-O-Wisp on Incineroar's end so you can't get burned. But really, the fire typing from the low base power Draining Kiss was so crucial. Thunderclap brings Urshifu down to his Focus Sash. Just 1 HP remaining on Adi's end. Not a lot of hit points to work with between the 2 Pokemon combined. Close combat towards Raging Bolt to get that KO. Definitely fine lowering your defenses when you only have 1 HP remaining.
And at this point, the restricted over on the opposing end of field, it is going to be taken down as well. The knockoff, as Liver of Health, is going to be evening the Pokemon count to a piece for these trainers here in this game too. This will be the first opportunity to see what is in the back for Ryan. Historically, it has been this Amoonguss, which I think is just very problematic here, and even something like this Pelipper. But we'll get the confirmation in half a second. There is an adjustment. There is Shifu, his own Rapid Strike coming on out.
And yeah, it might be even in the Pokemon count, but not all things are created equal when Adi's Pokemon are so low HP already.
And even just at speed tiers of these Pokemon, Choice Scarf with the Urshifu over on the opposing end, staring down these 2 full health Pokemon, no surprise here.
Yeah, Ryan Haig with a convincing comeback in this series.